Let's go.
This is going to be terrible.
He has wiped out, by his grace through faith in Christ, your every sin, past, present, future.
Christian hedonist is somebody who says that my greatest joy, my greatest good is God. And therefore, I will pursue that joy and I will pursue that God above all else. So God's glorified and I'm satisfied.
You are now listening to the Pastor Discussions podcast.
What's up, everybody? I'm John.
I'm Joe here, and welcome to Pastor Discussions podcast episode number 2.
Episode dos. So we've actually, this is the second episode, and it is your weekly conversation about doctrine, faith, and the Christian life. And since you made fun of me, I have been reciting that to myself over and over and over again.
Why?
Because that's how you get better.
Don't you just like screwing up all the time?
You get mocked, and you get ridiculed, and you get a hard time given to you, and you just improve. That's the moral of the story.
Did you ever notice that I do that way more to you than you do to me?
That's because
are you just nicer?
I know that your sensitive disposition cannot handle the amount of snark that I have.
Oh, great. So now I'm being lumped in with all the other worship pastors out there.
Well,
He's
are
the sensitive
artsy.
one.
Those artsy people are a little bit, you don't know what you might step on a landmine and not know it, and then you go into mope mode and don't hang out and talk to anybody.
I don't mope.
I'm not saying you do. I'm saying I'm trying to avoid that.
Oh.
Who knows what you're capable of, you artsy people.
You're a bully.
I'm not a
Now I'm hurt.
See, that's my point. That's what I was trying to avoid. Can't handle the snark. It's like that.
No, I have said many times, John, if something is wrong, you need to let me know.
And so I do. I let you know in the same way I let my wife know if something needs to change in our home.
Oh, so now I'm a woman.
I don't know what to say to that. Okay. Speaking of snark, we got an email.
Uh-oh.
We have an email.
Okay, whenever you say we got an email, I would think that'd be good, but then you started with speaking of snark.
Yeah, exactly. So we have an email that you can email us at pastordiscussions@gmail.com. And by the way, take a second and just subscribe in the iTunes. See, I'm acting old. You're subscribe in the iTunes.
It's like those channels for YouTube.
It's like those channels for YouTube. Where's the clicker? That was a great line. That was awesome. All right. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. Take a second and subscribe in iTunes. Rate us, give us an honest rating, and give us some feedback. We want to hear your thoughts on it. Anyway.
But if you send snarky things to us, we'll probably send snarky things back to you.
Exhibit A. We got an email from this guy named Ron.
And that's all you got to do. All you got to know is his name's Ron.
Ron. You just hear the snark in his name. I'm going to complain. I'm Ron.
He's probably got handlebar mustache, too.
He does, except he never quite got the handlebar part. It's kind of like a...
It's like plaster to his face.
Yeah, it sort of goes up his cheek, too.
Yeah.
It's like a... Sort of like 1800s,
it's like
probably.
it's growing up to his eyeballs.
Yeah, this is probably the type of guy that wears a cowboy hat all the time and talks about his cows.
And rides a horse.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Lives out in the country, talks to his cows in the morning as he's doing chores.
Yeah. Mopes around all the time.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a shot in the dark. I don't know. Maybe he does those types of things. Maybe he doesn't.
That's the type of thing that a Ron would do.
Exactly. If your name is Ron, by the way, and you don't do those things, we apologize. At any rate, this is what Ron said.
No, it's only for this specific Ron.
I don't know. I have no idea. I just know it's Ron.
Mm.
His Gmail has a picture. He looks kind of happy. Maybe. Okay. So anyway,
let's hear this letter.
He wasn't happy when he wrote this letter. This is what he said. I can't win anything because I don't have a Facebook page. Therefore, I can't like your stupid Facebook page. This is very clearly discrimination against old guys. First of all, let me just make an observation. How does he know that we're doing a giveaway for people that like our Facebook page if he doesn't have Facebook?
Maybe his wife told him.
See, there you go. So now your wife can. Anyway, no, never mind. So I took a second because I think that everybody that emails us deserves a response. So I wrote him back. Here's what I said. Dear sir,
Uh-oh.
Thank you for your feedback. We appreciate your complaint and griping. It's caused us to go back to Scripture and seek to find where we overlook the spiritual gift of grumpiness. It must be there because you clearly are very strongly gifted in it. We might just have missed it. Maybe it's in the 1611 authorized KJV. In response to your comments, we appreciate the situation you are in. We were all once in the same place in 1995, so we understand. My encouragement to you would be, if you don't have Facebook, then you probably don't know what a podcast is and fall outside of our target demographic. Unfortunately, analog flip phones and brick car phones do not have the ability to play podcasts, so I would recommend that you turn on the Prairie Home Companion on NPR with Garrison Keillor during your daily commute in your Toyota Camry. We are, however, impressed that you have the technological skills to email and are not using a Juno account. If you would like, we can transcribe each episode and send them to you via homing pigeon, since that would apparently be more suited to your generational preference. After all, our highest priority is to make everyone on the planet happy by specifically catering to their exact preferences as the center of the universe. Thanks again for your comments, and we wish you the best in your upcoming shuffleboard tournament at the assisted living home. God bless. I meant every word of it.
See, you need to critique me like that.
So, full disclosure, Ron is an elder here at Arbor Drive and sent that as a joke. He responded, this is his response. Well done. So,
and he does have handlebar mustache.
He does have a handlebar mustache.
And he does wear a cowboy hat.
He does wear a cowboy hat.
And he does farm cows.
And he never has admitted this, but I think he talks to him.
Probably.
He seems like he's into animal husbandry. I think good animal husbandry involves talking to your animals.
Yeah, probably.
I'd like to hear what he says.
To the cows?
Yeah. That would
We
be
should ask
interesting.
him.
We should.
Have you ever asked him?
No, I haven't asked him.
Right,
We ought to just plant some sort of recording device there and just
give him
how's it going,
give
Betsy?
him a brotherly hug on a Sunday morning. And then when he gets home and finishes his chores, we'll plant a little bug on him.
So what are we doing on our show today, Joe?
So today we have our first interview ever, and we're going to be interviewing one of our church members about the impact that the local church has had on her, not just here at Arbor Drive, but other churches that she's been a part of. She is a member here, as I said, and she's also a member of our music ministry team. She's also helping out in many different ways. She loves to serve. She's got a great voice, so
Fantastic voice.
I really enjoy singing with her. She's got 3 daughters too, and all of them can sing. We have discipleship community. She's in our discipleship community, and every once in a while we'll go over there and we'll catch the girls playing piano for the first ones there as we're walking up, and you can hear them belting out. It's pretty awesome.
A couple years ago they had we had the family or the children's Christmas play, and one of them was up there with a microphone, and I was like, "Where is that coming? This is not coming from some kid up there." It's fantastic.
Yep. So pretty cool lady. She's got cool daughters.
Just pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
We don't want to build her up too much.
Yeah. See, that's one of the tricks of pastoral ministry. Like, you don't want to encourage people too much because then it just becomes.
Well, you encourage them until they get like snooty or a little bit, and then you
break them down. You just tear them down. You cut the legs out from under them.
That's exactly.
So you better watch yourself, Janeen.
Yep, we're coming for you.
You start getting an attitude with us, and we'll point out a flaw.
Yep,
we'll find one.
I'm sure she would tell us our flaws. She'd
throw it right back at us. Yep. That's the part, though. That's the bad part, though. It wouldn't do any good.
So I'm excited to hear what she has to say today.
Yeah, we love Janeen. We're thankful for her. So enjoy our discussion with Janeen Uhler from Arbor Drive Community Church. All right, so we are here with Janeen Uhler. So welcome to the first interview on the Pastor Discussions podcast.
Thanks, John. I'm glad to be here today.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you. And so why don't you just start off with telling us a little bit about yourself and sharing a little bit about your story with the people listening.
So I guess if we want to start with a faith-based beginning introduction, I was raised Catholic about 30 miles from here. Large family, 6 of us kids, and we're all J's, by the way. And
what's everybody's name?
Okay, so mom and dad are John and Joanne. So
mom and dad are J's too.
They are. They started the precedence. No, I was not homeschooled. I went to a Catholic school.
Oh, that makes sense. If you have that many kids and that many J's, you're homeschooled or Catholic.
Right.
You have to be,
absolutely. So John and Joanne decided to have Jeanette, Janae, Janine, Janice, Jeffrey, and Joseph.
So they made it really hard for themselves too. Then
They did.
Say all of those names really fast.
Jeanette, Janae, Janine, Janice, Jeff, and Joe.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
It's
Our
like you
middle
practiced
names.
that.
Our middle names are J's also.
Are you serious?
I'm totally serious.
What was your maiden last name?
Messing.
Okay.
So we were JJMs.
Jim.
Jim. Yes,
That's awesome.
it was special.
You
are
didn't all
special.
have the same middle name, did you?
No,
Like
but-
all the girls and all the guys?
No, but my brothers do.
Do they?
They do. Yes. Well, and the
that is
reason.
exactly my family.
Joe,
too.
tell us a little bit about your middle
that's
name.
Right. Scott, isn't it?
Yes, it's Scott. Why would we? No, we're not talking about that.
Sorry. Okay. Janine.
What is wrong with parents?
We're
Right.
here to talk with Janine.
Yeah. So I was
sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's all good. We're having a conversation. So raised Catholic, and like I'd said, I went to the parochial high school, elementary and high school, and I do have a very strong memory of, I think I was about a freshman age, so like 15 years old, and I remember looking. We were at church, and we always sat in the front pew. I don't know why, we just did, and we were the only ones up there, like by 4 or 5 pews. So it was. The Messings were always way up front. But anyway, I remember looking at the floor one day and just realizing that all the things that they were requiring us to do, all of the works the Catholic Church was teaching, I couldn't do them all. And I knew at that point that I was going to hell. And it was the heaviest weight I had probably ever felt in my life, that burden of knowing that I could not do enough. And so that was at age about 15. And so I thankfully had some people who started coming into my life. It was after high school. And also in that time, I also had some relatives and some aunts of mine who had married out of the church. So they would become believers. And so I started to have some of their lives started to kind of filter into mine a little bit. And I was noticing things. But
Like, what specifically did you notice?
oh, my mom's youngest sister, she had married a man who became a pastor, and she would say things, we have just enough of what the Lord has. He provides for our needs. We have just enough. And so we may have our wants, but where our needs are taken care of. And so that was one of the things that I remembered. They just had a different lifestyle, and it was obviously different, but I couldn't quite pinpoint how. So then I had some other believers that came into my life, like I said, after high school. One of them got to know me when I was working. We were working at Pioneer Seeds out here, sorting corn. And she said, "So Janine, how's your walk with the Lord?" And I hadn't ever heard that phrase before. I mean, we prayed to God, and God was up here somewhere yonder way, and, but that phrase "walk with the Lord" was new to me. So my response was, well, I probably don't pray enough. So that was, I was kind of, okay, whatever. But they had invited me into their family and had me over for meals. And one conversation came up with them that they said that Jesus had brothers. And being Catholic, Mary it was a virgin birth, and she was virgin until her death. And that Jesus had no brothers. And so I went home to Mom with that one. And Mom almost became a nun. So I figured her word has got to be good, right? So and
She knows what she's talking about.
Right, exactly. And so she had said, well, a lot of things get lost in translation. And so I kind of was good with that answer. But I met Kevin, who was my husband. And he was probably the biggest influence on my life then at that point. And it was about a month after I met him. He took me to a speaker. I believe his name was David Story. And he was talking in the Grand Island area. And he had gone to high schools during the day. And then in the evening, he was going to give the gospel message. And so we went to that. And the thing that spoke to me the most was he had talked about the music that we listen to and how it should be honoring and praising the Lord. And a lot of the stuff that we weren't, that we listened to doesn't. So I prayed and asked the Lord in my life. And so, and the really cool thing is that literally the next day, I told Kevin, I said, I want to sell all of my music and my CD collection that I had.
Did you have a lot of secular?
Yes, it all was.
Yeah.
It all was. And I had a large selection. I was very protective of it. I mean, it was my pride and joy. And I said, I want to get rid of it all because it does not honor the Lord. And he was, floored that was my desire. And the other cool thing was that there were several things that I feel the Lord just gave this wisdom to me after I'd gotten saved. One of them, the story of the prodigal son. As a Catholic, it was a great story. Okay, nice. But then I realized that's us. He is running to us after being lost and gone. And when we finally turn to him, he is running to us with his arms open. And so that was such an amazing thing that literally was just placed in my mind from him.
That's awesome, because that's the point of the story. I
Yes.
dislike very much that we call it the prodigal son, because it's all about the forgiving father.
Yes. And I finally realized too what our purpose on earth was. I really had struggled with that. It's like, why are we here? What is the purpose of our lives? And I realized too, again, wisdom from the Lord, that we are to advance his kingdom. And we are here to share the good news of Jesus Christ with other people. And that was given to me from him directly. It wasn't anything that anybody planted in my mind. It literally was just one day I had that revelation. So it was very cool to see how, and I was age 21 when that happened. And so I could see a big difference from not knowing the Lord to knowing the Lord then. And so it was just amazing to see the way he changed my life in some very simple ways, but they were huge.
That's awesome.
What's your involvement been in the local church overall in your life since you became a believer? And then maybe talk a little bit about where you were at when you started coming here to Arbor Drive and what's changed from that time up until now.
So as a new believer, I became involved shortly thereafter in music, in the worship team. That's where my gift has been with my voice and using it for helping facilitate others with worship. And so that's been where I have felt the most led. So I've spent a lot of time previous to this church. I spent 12 years at E-Free helping lead worship there. I also taught Sunday school once my kids were old enough for Sunday school, but that was because I had so many kids. They said, Janeen, you just need to teach Sunday school. I had the bigger portion of the kids there. So it was my responsibility to teach the other ones too. So I did that. And we had a small church. And so it was our friends. I mean, it was very much a church family. I probably spent more time with them than I did my own blood family, if you will. So that was very good, and had some great friends that really, who were mentors to me, who had more time as believers. It was a great time of growth for me. And since I've been here at Arbor Drive, when I first came, I was a couple years out from a divorce, and I spent the first probably couple of years just healing and learning and just getting fed. And I had to make some tough decisions in my personal life to get things right again. I'm so thankful for the Lord's forgiveness, because it was just one of those things that I could feel him continually calling me back to him. And I knew some of the choices I were making in my life at that time were wrong. And it was making the tough decisions to, okay, let's get myself on the right path here. And so once I was able to make some of those tough decisions and just getting myself on track with the Lord, then I felt like I was able to be in a position then to help be more of just a person getting fed in the body to coming alongside others and helping serve in whatever capacity that would be. So, and a lot of it first started with you, Joe, was talking about being on worship team. Of course, we'd been talking about that for quite a while. And when I was working at Fastenal, you'd stop in, you got to come sing on worship team, So anyway, so that was my first desire, was to be back singing again. Even though I knew I could worship the Lord from the pews. I mean, that's not a problem. I can do that from the chair any day. But literally going out on the stage again, it was literally coming home. I mean, it was such like where that's where I'm to be. And the other cool thing about coming here too and having the desire to grow more was becoming involved in even just going to Sunday school regularly and women's Bible study. And those have been huge areas that have really helped me grow and has just increased the depth of my knowledge of the Lord and increased my faith. I've always felt I've had a really, really high level of faith, but it's just increased to that much more. So that's been a wonderful thing too. And just being able to build those relationships with other people in the body and just having those conversations that are challenging. I like to be a deep thinker and ponder things about the Lord, and to have other people that can kind of help feed that a little bit. And I've learned things from other people in Sunday school with just some of the answers that they've had. It's been wonderful.
Since you've been coming to Arbor Drive, you've gotten involved with discipleship community.
Yes.
And how has that been impactful in your life or in your faith? Just talk to us a little bit about how discipleship communities have impacted you.
It's been a great way to have a very laid back way of growing relationships in the Lord. Sharing meals is always a good thing.
Oh, we are Baptists after all.
Right.
That's
after
what
all,
Baptists do.
yes.
We eat.
Yeah. Our thing is when we bring,
Our group is famous for bringing appetizers.
we love
Yeah,
appetizers.
it is good. It gives a nice selection.
It really does. It's been awesome. It really has. So,
So aside from the food,
right. Oh yes. Okay. What is the purpose of discipleship
So
community?
my group is only good at doing food. That's what
we're gonna have a talk after this.
Joe
Let's talk
does
a little bit about how
try.
your discipleship community's going.
He gives us the verses to work on, and I show up and talk about them with Joe.
That is kind of somewhat how it goes. Some
Yeah, no, but I really enjoy that though. It gives me something to be working on and studying and contemplating. And then the last time we had gotten together, which has been too long ago, we really did have a great discussion. It actually kind of went into some of the speaking in tongues and stuff like that. And it was a great discussion. I mean, there were questions that I had, and I know Legs did too. And it was very good. I mean, I hope we can continue to have those.
Yeah, me too. I was telling Michaela when we left, I was like, that's one of the best discussions that we've had since our group's been together. And
Yeah.
So I was
Absolutely.
encouraged as well.
Yes. I like to talk about that stuff. I mean, I like I said, I like to ponder things about the Lord. And so if someone can challenge my thinking in that, that's really good. I mean, that really feeds me, and it's going to, of course, I'm only going to benefit from it. And I think we all benefit from each other. I mean, it's one man sharpens another like iron sharpens iron. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. So discipleship community is the best thing. And if somebody's asking about it, somebody who hasn't joined a discipleship community, I encourage them. It's like, yes, get involved, because it's a great way to get to know others as well. Maybe some that I wouldn't necessarily even seek out in church, just because, not that I don't want to, I just don't think to. Or sometimes it's busy after church. You've got certain people you need to talk to, and then you miss others that you could be visiting with.
So then the biggest benefit that you've seen in your own life then is, number one, that it's been an environment where you could get challenged, or where you could have those types of discussions, those sort of discipleship discussions.
Yes.
And number two is developing those relationships with other believers.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about the importance of relationships with other believers in your life as a Christian.
It's necessary to have those relationships with believers, because there are so many people in my life that aren't, that to keep me on track and accountable, those relationships are so key and important. And I don't feel like I have enough of them. And it's become a challenge as well, being a single person now again. I mean, it seems like it's easier for couples to get together. But even as a single person, I mean, I do my best to seek out people and seek out those things, those types of relationships with other believers. But a lot of my friends are married and they are busy with their families, and that's okay. And so it's kind of finding another avenue, one of them being discipling a couple that I know that aren't believers, and spending time with them and trying to help grow them, which is great, to be an encouragement to them and to speak truth to them, and they're open to it. But for me, even just to have those to help encourage myself, Those are so important, and I treasure the ones that I do have. Those believers that I spend time with on a regular basis, which is why I make a point to be at discipleship group. And I mean, for me, that's a priority. It's on my calendar to be there. And so
that's a really great point, though. We're gonna need to maybe do another show on this, but something you said really struck me and it sort of kicked me in the teeth a little bit. You said that a lot of people are married, and so you have to seek out those relationships, which is really a point of, I think, repentance that a lot of married believers need to deal with the Lord, because we do tend to gravitate toward other couples. We tend to gravitate toward other people that are in the same life stage as us. You know, like it's a lot easier for us to get together with a couple that has kids about the same age as ours. Yes. Then our kids can play together but it's not just a multi-generational approach to the ministry that we need to have as the body of Christ, but there's an aspect of involving ourselves in the lives of other people that are in a different situation than we are, whether it's socioeconomic or relationship status or whatever that is. So that's really challenging to me, because we tend to fall into that trap.
Yeah, I mean, that's even happened in discipleship community when, like, I'll be challenging the group to pray and, you know, be praying with your spouses, and then I'll look around the room, Janene's there, and I'm like, oh, yeah, except for you. And then I you know, there's that, even as I think about challenging people, like, you're in a different stage in life, a different place, and I don't think about that often enough, and don't think about the single people often enough, even as a pastor. So
that's gonna be it's a teaser for a future episode of Pastor Discussions podcast on ministering to singles within the church and building those relationships. So thank you for bringing that up. That's a great point.
It was something that as I was thinking about and preparing for this with some of the questions that you had brought up, and I was pondering on some of these things, and that came to my mind, and it I'm not going to say it bothered me, but I thought, you know, there's kind of that yearning on my part as well too, because, you know, I hear about some of the couples that are getting together and they're going and doing this, and it's like, that would have been really fun to go. I would have really have enjoyed that. Yeah. But I don't want to be like, hey, I want to go too. Let's go. Yeah. So
it's like back to high school and being the third or fifth wheel.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So if you could just talk about a little bit, like if you could say something to a believer out there that's listening to this to encourage them, what would you say? Whether it comes back to getting involved in a church, or whether it's somebody that's listening that's from around here or somebody that's not around here, what would you say to encourage them? What would you tell them to do to get connected and plugged in?
I came up with so many different things, and I wasn't sure if they were encouraging or not.
Try them out and we'll see.
There's lots of things. I don't want to speak for other people, but I think people probably struggle with, am I important enough in this world that the God of the universe would want to have an interest in me? And maybe there's some that are like, maybe that's just the opposite. Maybe they think the world is all about them. I don't know. But I think we all have our doubts. We all have our insecurities. And I think a lot of that can fall into then your relationship with the Lord. And like I said, I have always had a high level of faith in my relationship with the Lord in the last 20 years. And I'm thankful for that. I really am. I would encourage someone that they would know that the Lord really does have them in the palm of their hands, and he really, truly does care. I have, in many different ways, seen how the Lord has worked in my life, and very recently have just been so humbled by the fact that the God of the universe cares so deeply that he would, in one of the situations, bring money to my mailbox when I needed it the most. And it is humbling. And like you had spoken in your prayer sermon, now people are like, God feels so distant. I was thinking about that and how, okay, it reminds me of the joke where there's an old couple and they're sitting in the vehicle and they're on the opposite sides of the truck. And the old lady says, we used to sit side by side in the truck all the time. You know, we don't ever do that anymore. And the old man says, well, you're the one that moved, because they used to sit side by side and he's still driving. And so
I like how you had to explain that joke to us.
And we're both sitting here like,
Have you never sat side by side with your wife? It's a bench seat. There's no console. There's no console.
That would be weird for her to sit on the console.
Right? There was totally blank stares. You guys are driving way too new vehicles. Come on. Anyway, but that's how it is with us in the Lord, though, too. He hasn't moved. We're the ones who moved away.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just that continuous trusting that his will for our lives is perfect, and it's trusting in his timing,
mm-hmm.
and it's trusting that he will never leave us or forsake us. That is a wonderful promise that I hope everybody realizes that. But I think the biggest thing is being content with whatever that will is, his will is for our lives. We have a lot of wants and desires, even some needs that we think we need, but he'll take care of it.
Yeah.
If that's his plan for us.
It's funny that you brought that up, because so we put Finley to bed tonight, and she started screaming after about 3 or 4 minutes after I walked out of the room. And I went back into the room, and she was like, we didn't read the Bible. And so we read this gospel story Bible every night. And so I was like, oh, well, I'm getting rebuked by my child here. This is a parental fail. So we got up and we read, and what we read was the story of that Christ told, the parable that Christ told about the Pharisee who prays these eloquent prayers about how he's thankful that he's not like other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the tax collector that beats his chest and says, have mercy on me, a sinner. And then the very next thing that happens is that the disciples try to forbid little children from coming to Christ. And he says that the kingdom of heaven belongs to those that have faith like little children. And the application of this book is awesome. It talks about how children trust their parents to provide for all of their needs.
Yes.
And so I had a little conversation with Finley, like, have we ever not fed you? No, we've always fed you. We're always going to take care of you. That's the way that you need to trust in God. And just what you were saying with God feeling distant, and he does care for us.
Mm-hmm.
Having him as a father through faith in Christ and being adopted into his family means that he cares about us in a way that we can't even comprehend. So even little things, or things that we would perceive as little, he wants us to bring those to him like little children. I mean, my kid runs up to me with all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not the best at dealing with it, but you know what I mean? Like that's a great point. So I'm sure that'll be encouraging to some people. So we have come to the point in our show where everything digresses into chaos.
Yes.
This is the rapid fire question section.
So you have to answer as fast as you can answer.
Okay.
As fast as you can possibly answer. Now, you have not heard these questions before.
I have not heard these questions.
This is the first time.
I'm scared.
Okay. So
Yes.
we're just going to ask the questions, and you answer as fast as you can. Black or brown?
Brown.
Gross. What is the grossest sounding English word?
I don't know.
You know what I think? Luscious. I do not like the word luscious.
Luscious.
I'm going to use that all the time from now on.
The grossest sound. Oh, I don't even.
Your voice sounds very luscious tonight.
Great. I should not have said it.
I'm going to bring that one up from now.
Moist, I think, is the most disgusting one. Okay, describe yourself in 3 words.
Funny. Outgoing.
Articulate.
Maybe. No, I don't think I'm articulate. I stumble over my words way too much.
Such a bully, John.
Confident. There we go. That's one too. Yes.
Favorite kind of music?
Christian.
Okay, what's the ugliest vegetable?
Oh, like turnips.
Turnips?
I don't know why.
Okay.
When is lying the right thing to do?
Never.
Good answer. Yeah, I tried to trick you.
What is the absolute worst movie you've ever seen?
Oh, golly. Oh, Joyride.
Whose advice do you always listen to?
Always. That's a big word. Always. The Lord.
Geez, Sunday school answer.
Right.
If
whose
the
advice?
roof moves and you ascend up into heaven, then
Yeah. I don't have anybody else to always give me advice. So
all right. Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
I don't eat any grain, so I don't think any of us should eat animal. But Nobody should eat animal crackers.
Because they taste terrible too.
Well, they're just like
The
mush.
frosted ones are really good.
Oh, those are really good.
Frosty ones.
Yes.
They're good. If you could only listen to one podcast for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
I've never listened to a podcast.
Oh, jeez.
You're talking to the wrong generation here, Joe.
Are you going to listen to this one?
I'm going to have to because I want to hear how it ends up. I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. Someone young is going to have to teach me how to. Do you download these? I don't know what you do.
And with that
podcast.
wonderful endorsement, I'm going to have to. I don't really want to listen to that podcast, but I was on it, so I'm going to have to listen to it.
I'm intrigued.
Well, Janeen, thank you for being on the show. We really appreciate your time and being willing to share some of that with us and encourage other believers that might be listening.
It was fun. I hope I could have a positive effect on somebody's life. I really do.
We just want to say thanks to Janeen again. It was awesome to get to talk with her and just really encouraging to hear the things that have been beneficial in her life, the way she came out of the Catholic Church. And even now we get to see her interacting with her parents and her family who are still in the Catholic Church. Like she invited them to our Christmas program this year where the gospel was shared. And she was excited. She was telling me the other day how she was excited about that opportunity to be able to grow and build off of that. So
That's cool.
So I'm just really thankful for what she does for our church here and just her encouragement to us. So.
That's awesome. So this is sort of this is something we're going to do regularly. We're going to regularly bring in some members from our church or members from another church or
Ronald.
We'll bring in Ron. we'll have Ron on the show.
It'll probably take 5 takes because he won't know how to use the microphone.
It'll take 5 takes and he'll talk like that.
Yeah,
It's just sort of like he'll say as few words as possible. So Ron, are you having a good day? Yes. You want to tell us about how you came to Christ? I trusted him. Yeah, Ron, if you want to come on the show, if you happen to be listening to this on your 1980s flip phone.
We just got to figure out there's things that he likes to talk about. Well, it could be one on prayer.
Yeah.
If we talk about prayer, he will be all over.
Oh, yeah. Ron is a prayer guru.
Yeah.
I don't think that has a bad connotation. He's not a guru. He's not like a Hindu guru. He's like
it's his soapbox.
He's a prayer warrior.
People might be offended that you just said that.
Dude, we're equal opportunity snark here.
We are, yes.
So anyway, stay tuned for Ron, the complainer, to come on the show at some point in the future. At any rate, hey, look, we're one of the things we want to do here at the Pastor Discussions podcast is we want to give you guys tools to be able to help you grow in your faith. We want to give stuff away. I was inspired by T4G. We went to T4G 2 years ago, and I can't remember how much we paid for the tickets, but we got at least that worth in free books and stuff like that.
$150 to go to the conference for a ticket. And there had to be
at least 200 books.
One
of
book
them was 50.
worth $50.
Yeah, we got like a study
the
Bible,
giant Psalm commentary, we got hymns of grace,
and just a bunch of Are We Together by R.C. Sproul.
Yeah.
And just a bunch of other. I mean, there's a ton of books. So anyway, we want to be able to give stuff away to people and help give people tools to be able to grow in their faith and grow in their relationship with Christ. And so to that end, we are doing our first giveaway. We are going to be giving away a CSB study Bible. So Christian Standard Bible, Study Bible. It's a great translation. It's sort of it's a offshoot of the Holman Christian Standard Bible, which is the Southern Baptist Bible. If you're a Southern Baptist boy, you better get yourself a Holman Bible.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's like when I graduated from Southern Seminary, they gave me a Holman Christian Standard Bible.
They're not ESV there?
No. Well, I mean, as a denomination, that's sort of their denominational. It's all by Southern Baptists that edited it and stuff. Huh. So yeah. So anyway, the CSB is faithful and true. That's their tagline, and it's very readable.
It's a great modern language translation.
It keeps the sense of the text with getting rid of some of the words that. Or not getting rid of, that makes it sound like we're just going to scratch this word out here. It doesn't matter. No, but like having updated language so that it's understandable and readable is really good. So anyway, we have a CSB study Bible, and we want to give that away. So here's how you can enter to win. You can go on iTunes, subscribe to the podcast, leave us a rating, an honest rating. We're not going to just choose 5-star ratings. If there's a 1-star, if you think that this show is terrible, we totally understand. We kind of agree with you. So whatever rating you want to leave us, go ahead and leave us a rating, and then just leave some comments in the feedback area. Just let us know honestly what you think of the show. If you got suggestions, whatever.
And I don't make fun of me because I'm
don't make fun of Joe because he's a snowflake. He's an artsy fartsy snowflake.
And then I'll just get mopey and I'll start mumbling.
You
won't be able to understand what I say.
You are the mumbling host.
Yeah.
That's how you know when you're upset. When Joe mumbles, that's when you know.
No, or I'm tired.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
But then you get grouchy when you get tired.
No, I get funny.
No, you don't. When you get tired, you get that look on your face and you don't really talk much. And when you do, it's like short sentences. You don't like to have fun when you're tired.
Well, fine.
Anyway.
I thought I was fun when I was tired.
Oh, no, not so much.
Oh, well.
Anyway, you can get entered to win the CSB Bible, or CSB Study Bible by subscribing, rating, and then leaving some feedback. And we're going to choose a winner in let's say 3 weeks. So you got 3 weeks to enter. Share this with your friends on social media and give them a chance to get entered too. We're going to continue to do giveaways. So once you've done the iTunes things, you're entered for future giveaways as well. So if you want to connect with us, you can like our page on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at Real PD Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Pastor Discussions. You can go to our website, pastordiscussions.com, and please like and share this content if you enjoyed it. Share it with your friends. And what's happening? What are we doing next?
I don't know.
I think we're going to talk about the role of the church in the Christian life, fellowship, and the role of the church. So check us out next time. Thanks for listening to Pastor Discussions Podcast, your weekly conversation about doctrine, faith, and the Christian life with John
and Joe.
Janeen.
I get to say what I want to say. I will read books, playing God, embracing obscurity, the insanity of God. These are books in John's office.
Where's playing God in here?
Oh, right over there.
Yeah.
Crouch, playing God.
Oh.
And knowing God.
You like that.
Good eyesight.
Thank you. This is my eye test for the day and the week.
You pass.
Good.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
We have absolutely no medical credentials to pass off on this.
But we are passing you anyway.
I'm a nurse anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I can tell you all kinds of stuff, but you probably believe me.
Okay, you've talked enough now. So now it's John's turn.
So why me? Why? You had a handful of people that you asked to do this, and so I guess I'm just curious, why me?
Yeah, John, why Janeen?
I don't know.
Really?
I prayed about it, and a light fell from the sky and illuminated your name on the membership roster. It was just it was a very thin line, and it said Janeen Uhler.
Right.
I wasn't sure about it, so I prayed some more, and I walked outside, and there was Janeen written in the snow in P. So that's when I got the confirmation. I need to have Janeen on.